Hello, viewers, and we're back on Sunday to kind of pick up where we left off with the bathroom. So we left off with this first coat of tape completed. So now we're on to our second and third coats today. But I just wanted to give you an idea of some people must sand because they put out too much compound, which probably didn't read was this in my video before this. But in order to prepare for second coat on this one, I just take a knife and just kind of roughly go over it. You ready? Errors or silliness that I didn't want there. And shouldn't take that long. This is a smaller project, so that was pretty easy to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the second coat on and with third coat on today. Now, in between that, of course, um, we will have to wait for those coats to dry. So I'll bring you back in to that part of the video when we are done with that part. But we're also going to be working on these closet shelves, and you ask yourself, well, why are the closet shelves part of the bathroom? Well, they're directly on the other side of the bathroom, and explain to you why a little bit further. So that's where the closet is, and this is the mirror cabinet right behind it. And I'm going to be putting a recessed cabinet in, which means we'll be taking out probably some framing. Well, that framing has probably got the shelf brackets attached to it. The bonus is we want to return this back to a storage, not a storage closet, but a place to hang jackets. I think we'll keep this shelf. Maybe we'll even reduce that because typically this top shelf is maybe half the depth of the closet, so you can get stuff in and out easier. Uh, but it was interesting because these screws are embedded. So it's going to take all this lovely special equipment to try and get all these screws out, which could take me some time. I also noticed these appear to be caulked in. I don't think I put these in. I probably had somebody put them in for me, one of the guys who are working for me. And, well, they got a little crazy. But again, not too much. Probably not a bad job, to make it all look finished. Of course, I'm not sure we were too worried about that at the time because we were just trying to make this shelf storage. But I can appreciate the effort. I always do. But fortunately for me, didn't know what screw this was initially. This screw here, which was an XT type, I call it. Of course, I got corrected by going to Curse Summer the other day, and apparently the new XT is a different version. I tried to school the guy and say, well, when I was taught XT, this was the XT type, which was just a square. But the new star bit is, I guess, the new XT. But if we turn this around and I can't see what I'm doing. Oh, see, there it is. See that screw? That's how I knew what bit to go get because even though they were very, very um, aware of needing to fill holes and stuff, only but what you can see. That's really not a good approach in my book. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't need to be done. But that'll be quite the project. So I'm going to bring you back in after I get these shelves out, even if I can complete that today. So we'll check in a little later. Hopefully, hang in there. Okay, so I stopped out of the video by mistake. So we put the second coat on. We're going to wait for that to dry. And then we're going to put on the third coat. Now, I'll probably remove this medicine cabinet because I like space when I tape. And there's no sense in me getting confined in that little space when I'm taking that down anyway. Now, the other thing is when you get done with taping, you should always clean the bucket. See how I cleaned around the entire edge? Because what happens is if it sits for a while, the edges get dried out, and then when you go to mix it up, all those little chunks drop into the compound, and obviously make your taping job look like it's got a bunch of rocks in it. I also wanted to give you an update on the shelving. Not sure why they were constructed the way they were, but this piece here, which I thought I was going to be able to save, not so much because for some reason it holds the mid shelf up. Not sure why. So we're going to continue on removing all these shelves. And I guess this one's going to also come out because now I'll have to redo that because I probably would do it a different way. So I'll keep you posted. We'll be back. This time I'm going to pause the video and come back. Okay, guys, quick update. So this is taking a little longer than I thought. Explain why. Every one of these screw holes I'm having to dig out with this 5-in-1 knife, which is called a 15-in-1, but it's more familiar to a 5-in-1 my day. And of course, I'm not sure what their strategy was with this shelving support. Half the studs were missed trying to put screws in. Of course, they must have thought they were holding up some sort of major structure. They decided to put these very long nail screws in to hold up these very minimal supports. So that's where I'm at. I'll check in when I'm all done with getting this out of here. And I think we have decided to take out this other shelf, which, if you remember, we were going to reduce that down to maybe only 12 inches deep. We'll be back. Hey, viewers, so I'm back. And yep, I got all those shelves out, cleaned up the floor. Uh, Looks like some repairs need to be done inside the closet if I want to do this the way it should be done. I did decide to take out that one shelf here just because it wasn't done properly, and I have to install a closet rod that goes from one end to the other, and that's 5 foot. So there'd be a lot of weight in the middle of that shelf. So I'm gonna put proper boarding here. The person who did this just couldn't find the studs, it looks like. So I do use this method of putting holes, but you see his line right here. I should say their line. But the board is here. So you really should have like tested for studs below the line so that when you put that board up, it covers your test lines. So it looks like they did that a lot and they still missed all the studs. So I'm not really sure what their plan was. But again, I remember, I had people that were working for me. In case I didn't tell you earlier, I did own a construction business. Well, building and remodeling mostly, specialized in kitchen and bathrooms, but did a lot of other work as well. But I had people working for me, and I would have been better off just kind of doing the work myself because I often had to redo it. But that's a story behind hiring people. A good one, actually. I'm a graduated from carpentry class, and my teacher, uh, which I guess is called BOCES now, but I think it was called Occupational Center at the time I went. Um, the way you find out if you have somebody that has any kind of skill, follow direction, can make some analyzation of what you're asking them to do. You would say, well, go ask them to build you a box. Hand them a piece of plywood, ask them to go build your box. And he said, well, there's a couple of responses. The ones you want to probably stay away from. And I said, what do you mean? So maybe not that person. The good candidate might say, well, what size do you want? That would be a good start, I would think. So just a little bit of humor there with, how I was taught to look for people. Of course, I tried that a few times and they did give me stupid looks, but, it was like, okay, maybe they don't get it. Maybe whatever my teacher had taught me might have been something from the past that didn't work in the future. But that being said, we do have the closet shelves removed. A little cleanup, like I said. Looks like the taping was destroyed. So we'll fix that. Maybe even paint the closet. We have this light, or power, should I say. And I'm not sure how that actually works because one of the tenants that were living here decided to put this ceiling up. Okay, which I can't really tell if this box right here powers that power because the closet's right here, obviously, to kind of give you orientation. So here's the closet, and there's the switch box. But there's also a light box right here. And I looked around in here, and there doesn't seem to be any switch. I have a feeling that this switch would operate that light. Then I'm going to try and install something small. And I think this one has constant power. Because I think at the time, what was popular to buy were those strip fluorescent lights, which had the switch right on it, or maybe a pull chain. I'm not sure. I'll have to figure that one out. But this ceiling has come out anyway for this work. Remember we talked about that. But also, I was looking for water shutoffs for the bathroom. Well, I didn't find any out here. I have a feeling they might be up here in the ceiling. The reason why is because coming back to inside the bathroom here, we did get our first pass on the taping, but I took down the light bar in the cabinet, and well, we got water lines on both sides here. I don't know if you can see the other one in there. But anyway, there's a pipe here and there's a pipe here. Medicine cabinet goes here. Obviously, that water would have to get moved in order to put the medicine cabinet right here. Which I can do with what we call PEX or flexible piping. That's not a big deal. But we'll get into that a little later. So I did get a third coat on, but only one side. I do this in multiple layers. So, I went down this side, I went down this side. I'll do the cross. Okay. I also increased the size of the knife. I also switched to a light compound. So I'm going to let this dry for another 5 minutes, and then I'm going to hit it across. But you can see just by doing it in small layers, it doesn't really look to need sanding. It will, but it will light sanding. So I'm going to be right back. Okay, viewers, so we're back, and we've got that final pass of the third coat on here, ready for possibly fourth, fifth. But keep in mind, this is only the second day, so call it three. So typically, somebody might say do one coat a day, allowing time for dry. But if you put it on thin enough, you give it multiple coats on in one day. The idea is, the more or the less you put on, but more frequent applications will result in a product that doesn't have to be sanded so much. And again, it's always a good idea to clean up after yourself. Clean your tools, clean the bucket around the edges so no dry stuff gets into the mix. It says a lot about an individual, about how they take care of their stuff, how they keep the work area, clean that up when you're done, keeping this here because you don't want debris to get in there for the next time you want to use it. Just gets into the finished product. And people notice those things. So keep that in mind. And we're going to pick up on this tomorrow. I think we're going to obviously put additional coats on that. But we had to look at this a little bit more closely. We have to, figure out the size hole we need for the medicine cabinet, which I have the medicine cabinet to do that, and figure out exactly what we're going to do. Obviously, the person who put this in didn't put a light box in, so we'll have to do that as well. So I'll catch you on the next day, which should be tomorrow. Put a little bit of time in on that. So I'll see you then, and hopefully you'll like and follow the video. Hopefully it's helpful. See you tomorrow.